You know what nobody tells you about divorce? It's not the end of a bad story. For many women, it's the beginning of a profound psychological trap, a pitfall we call the fake freedom trap. The narrative you see on social media, the empowering quotes, the new beginnings, it's all a carefully constructed illusion. She fought for independence, she got her freedom, she wanted everything she has now, and yet, months later, she's facing a crippling sense of emptiness, an identity crisis, and a loneliness that is far more brutal than the comfort of a flawed marriage. This video is not about karma. It's about behavioral science, the brutal economics of the modern dating market, and the psychological cost of trading a known, albeit imperfect, ecosystem for a perfect, but ultimately empty, fantasy. We're going deep into the four phases of this unraveling and why getting what you want can be the most psychologically damaging event of her life. The first few months are critical. This is phase one, the release high, or what we can call the honeymoon with herself. It lasts from 60 to 90 days, and it is chemically addictive. She's running on pure dopamine. Every morning, she wakes up and mentally validates her own decision. I was brave, I was strong, I made the right choice. She redecorates the house, starts the fitness craze, and her social circle reinforces this narrative like a psychological echo chamber. You look amazing, you're glowing, you deserved so much better. But here is the truth. She's not living in reality. She's living in the story she's telling herself about reality. The phone starts buzzing, new matches on dating apps. Men are showering her with the kind of validation and attention she hasn't felt in years, maybe not even since high school. She interprets this attention as proof that she made the right choice, that she is highly desirable, and the world is now her oyster. Think of Sarah. Sarah left her husband of 12 years because he was stagnant. Within 2 months, she had 5 dates lined up. She felt a rush, a confidence injection. She saw the sheer quantity of men interested and mistook it for quality. She confused attention for genuine intention. She thought, if I'm getting this much attention now, imagine what a real high-value partner will look like. What she fails to realize is that she has stepped into a marketplace that specializes in novelty. These men are not interested in her story, her vulnerabilities, or her children. They are interested in the novelty of a fresh, newly available woman who is high on validation and eager to feel desired. Crucially, she has left an entire psychological ecosystem she took for granted. For years, you were her reference point for everything. Every plan, every complaint, every decision had you, the husband, somewhere in the equation. Even when she was mad at you, you were the center of her psychological universe. Now, she is floating in space without gravity. And the weightlessness she calls freedom is actually the frightening reality of having no psychological anchor. The high is wearing off, and the descent is about to begin. This is phase 2, the awakening, a slow-motion car crash that usually hits between the 4 and 8 month mark. The dopamine rush phase, and she starts going on real days, not the casual coffee days, but the ones where she tries to find a replacement, an upgrade. And this is where the market reality hits her like a professional boxer. The harsh economics of dating. The dating pool for a divorced woman, especially one in her mid-30s or older, and doubly so if she has kids, is not the romantic comedy she imagined. The quality men she expects are either already married or they have options, many, many options, competing with women who come with less baggage and more availability. The men she does encounter often fall into predictable categories. The players who see her vulnerability, the married men looking for affairs, and the perpetually single guys single for a good reason she's about to discover. If this analysis of relationship dynamics and behavioral patterns is making you rethink the conventional wisdom, please take a moment to hit the subscribe button. We dive deep into the uncomfortable truths about modern relationships and the psychology of success every week. Your support helps this message reach the men who need it most. Now, let's get back to the moment the reality hits. Consider Lisa. Lisa was excited to date a seemingly successful, charming man. On their first serious date, he paid for dinner, said all the right things, and then made a move that clearly indicated his intentions were purely physical. The ice water moment for Lisa was not the rejection, but the realization. This man doesn't actually care about me. He doesn't know her flaws, her fears, or the way she drinks coffee. To him, she's just Friday night. She's disposable. This is the first crack in her narrative. She pushes through, because admitting doubt now would be admitting a catastrophic mistake, and that is psychologically unbearable. So she doubles down, more days, more drinking, more validation seeking. But now the compliments feel hollow. She notices things, how quickly men try to escalate intimacy, how they talk about their exes, how they treat the waiter. And slowly, subconsciously, she starts the comparison trap. She compares the idea of a new man to the reality of her ex-husband. Not the flawed husband she divorced, but the known, safe, home version of him. She realizes the emotionally unavailable man with a great job is just that, emotionally unavailable. The fun, spontaneous one is actually an irresponsible alcoholic. With each comparison, the stability she threw away starts looking better. She begins to see the value of security she once dismissed as mediocrity. This is phase 3, the crisis, typically around the 8 to 12 months mark. The pressure is immense. Performance exhaustion. She's exhausted from the performance of happiness. Every "I'm living my best life" post requires more emotional effort. The gap between her public persona and her private reality has widened into a chasm. She is an actress who has forgotten why she took the role. Identity crisis, losing us for me. When you are married for years, your identity shifts from I to we. Every routine, every decision, every part of her neural pathway was wired around being a wife, being part of a couple. When she leaves, she loses not just you, but who she was with you. She's faced with trivial but constant reminders: which side of the bed to sleep on, what to watch on Netflix when there's no one to compromise with. Every small choice is a reminder that she is now navigating life without a co-pilot, and she fired him. Let's look at the phantom relationship syndrome. Like an amputee feels a phantom limb, a divorced woman feels a phantom relationship. Maria, 10 months post-divorce, found herself turning to the empty side of the passenger seat to tell her husband a funny story, only to realize he wasn't there. She would hear his voice in her head commenting on the movie. It's not necessarily love, it's neurological habit. Her brain spent a decade wired for your presence, and those neural pathways don't just vanish. The financial hammer. Adding to the psychological stress is the financial reality. That dual income that made life comfortable is gone. She has to maintain the same or a similar lifestyle on half the resources. She traded financial partnership for financial independence, but independence without resources is often just decorated poverty. The ability to dream about the future without checking the bank balance first is now severely restricted. This erosion of her sense of security adds overwhelming psychological weight. This is phase 4, the reckoning, usually hitting around the 1-year mark. This is when the psychological defense mechanisms finally fail and the truth breaks through. The loneliness is no longer about wishing someone was around. It's the existential loneliness that she blew up her entire life for a fantasy that simply doesn't exist. She's staring at the magnitude of what she's done. She traded a flawed but real relationship for a perfect but imaginary one. Cognitive dissonance and rewriting history. She cannot simply admit she made a mistake. It would shatter her entire sense of self, which she spent years building around being the woman brave enough to leave. To cope with this cognitive dissonance, I made the right decision versus I am miserable, she starts rewriting history again. She creates a new story. Maybe he has changed. Maybe if things were different, it could work. This allows her to entertain the idea of reconciliation without admitting she was wrong. Regret is often expressed as blame or anger, because anger is easier than admitting regret. This is when the late night texts come, usually between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. Hey, how are you? What she's really saying is, I'm drowning and you are the only life jacket I remember. The ultimate psychological torture. And here is the cruelest irony. Right around the time she reaches peak regret, you have begun to heal. You have gone through your shock, your anger, and your sadness, and you have focused on rebuilding. By the time she realizes what she lost, you have already started becoming someone new, someone who learned from the marriage and the divorce. A divorced man, Mark, focused intensely on his career and fitness post-divorce. When his ex-wife, Jessica, saw a photo of him looking healthy and genuinely happy with a new, confident partner, it was the final psychological blow. Her mind was tortured by the fact that she catalyzed his improvement but would not benefit from it. She can now see the version of the man she always said she wanted, but it's too late. His happiness is the ultimate proof that the problem wasn't the marriage. It was her perception of the marriage. She didn't leave a bad relationship. She left a relationship that she made bad in her own mind. The restlessness, the feeling that something was missing, those were internal issues she projected onto the relationship. Leaving you didn't solve them. It made them worse because now she has to face them alone, without the stability you provided. So, what actually happens to your wife after divorce? She gets exactly what she asked for, freedom. But she discovers that what she asked for and what she truly wanted were two different things. She wanted to feel alive again, but she feels numb. She wanted excitement, but she got chaos. She wanted to be desired, but she became disposable in the marketplace. The market doesn't care what she thinks she deserves. Reality doesn't adjust to her expectations. And by the time she figures this out, the chance to fix it has usually passed. She must live with the knowledge that she convinced herself was a great escape was, in fact, the biggest lie she ever told herself. She's watching from the sidelines as you build the life she convinced herself was impossible, just with someone else who appreciated what she couldn't. I want to hear your perspective on this, whether you agree or disagree. Have you witnessed the fake freedom trap in your own life or someone else's? What was the most brutal psychological phase? Let us know in the comments below. Your story helps others recognize these patterns and choose wisely. Thank you for watching.